Good morning and welcome to another beautiful week. Today is Monday, 8th September 2025, and I'm glad to have you on the show. I hope you had a great weekend. My name is Odili, and this is High Voltage on Volt 104.3 FM, where we review and analyze the news and also discuss issues affecting us as citizens of Nigeria, ranging from politics, education, health, security, and other topical stories making rounds in the country. So join us live in the studio by calling our phone lines, as we would love to hear your take on the things we'll be discussing this morning. And so save our number and get ready to call us when we open the phone lines: 0706 048 5853 or 0915-570-8347. And also we are live on YouTube, so you can subscribe to our YouTube channel on High Voltage News. Like, comment, and share the video for others to be part of the show. So this morning we are going straight into the newspaper headlines. So let's take a look at the top stories. And we are starting with the Punch newspaper. Accountant General plots to preempt Supreme Court, set to pay Osun local government funds to cut sacked APC chairmen, councillors. NULGE cries out. So this is about the Osun State local government funds that we've read headlines about this. We've read these stories before on this show, where the local government are crying out that funds are not being remitted to them. So normally the funds, monies meant for local governments, they're supposed to be managed by the legally recognized officials in power. But here there's a big problem. So the APC chairmen and councillors in Osun State had already been sacked by a court, which means they are no longer the rightful people to handle those funds. So however, the Accountant General of the Federation is being accused of planning to release these funds to those same sacked officials, ignoring the court judgment. So the Nigerian Union of Local Government Employees, they are raising alarms and they are saying it is illegal. And we all know it is illegal. When you're sacked, you don't have any more business in handling such money. So the matter is already before the Supreme Court. And if money is released now, it will be a way of jumping ahead of the judgment, which is dangerous for democracy and the rule of law. So everybody should respect the law and abide by the decree of the court. All right, so next on it, still on the Punch newspaper, we have Nupeng vs. Dangote. Union insists on strike, meets federal government and others today. Okay, so Naira strengthens to 1,514 Naira to $1, nears 5 months high. So the Naira has been under serious pressure for months, and with the exchange rate to the US dollar crossing 1.6 at some point. So now it has gained a little strength, trading at 1,514 Naira to $1. So this is its best performance in 5 months. So this morning, the Naira to dollar rate is 1,514, and it's kind of is reflecting in our daily lives in the markets. We believe it should reflect people are saying that things are coming down. The prices of foods, they are coming down as a result of this. Okay, so it really needs to reflect also in the fuel prices and every other thing that concerns the citizens, the lives of the citizens. Okay, so still on the Punch newspaper, we see that Natasha to resume Senate after London trip. Senator Natasha to resume Senate after London trip. And again, lending rates may fall as inflation ceases. That's from the CBN. Lending rates may fall as inflation eases. Okay, so that's what we have on the Punch newspaper, the front paper of the Punch newspaper. Okay, so we are going to be moving straight to another newspaper. headline, and we're starting with going to the Daily Times. Fuel crisis imminent as NUPENG begins strike today. Churns federal government's plea. Fuel crisis imminent as NUPENG begins strike today. Churns federal government's plea. Okay. All right. So next, Nigeria's annual post-harvest losses its 3.5 trillion naira. The Agric Minister reports that Nigeria's annual post-harvest losses its 3.5 trillion naira. So the Agriculture Minister revealed that Nigeria has lost food worth 3.5, that we lose food worth 3.5 trillion every year after harvest. So it's called post-harvest loss. So it happens because farmers don't have proper storage facilities, the roads are bad, transportation is difficult, and markets are not well organized. So food that should have reached the customers, it now rots away and spoils, and as a result, lots of money have been lost because of it. So, and this thing is a very painful thing because Nigerians have millions of people going hungry. Yes, there are people going hungry. Just a few days ago, the United States sent in some money to aid the hunger going on in the country, and we are here hearing that lots of food are being lost because of no proper storage facilities. And this is something that the agricultural minister needs to look into, and they need to be building these storage facilities so that none of the foods we have to spoil, and all this amount of money being called will not be lost. All right, so next on it, UN Ndume condemn killing of 63 by Boko Haram in Borno State. Yes, we are still on the Daily Times newspaper. UN Ndume condemn killing of 63 by Boko Haram in Borno State. So every day there's always a story about killing by bandits, by the Boko Haram in the northern states. It happens almost every day in the northern states. People's lives are being lost. Insecurity keeps growing every day. So the United Nations, that they have condemned the killing, and also the senator that represents the area spoke against it. So the Boko Haram, they are still very active in the northeast. So even after years of military operations, these people are still going on at the daily activities, doing their own what they wish to do in those localities. So this federal government has to tighten security in the northern states. All right, custom approves $300 duty-free threshold for low-value imports. Customs approved $300 duty-free thresholds for low-value imports. So the Nigerian Customs Service has set a new rule that any item worth $300 or less that is imported will not attract any custom duty. And so this is going to help the small importers and online shoppers who buy little items from abroad. So it's a good news. It's a very good news because when you buy an item, a little item, you don't have to pay. You don't have to pay for any custom duty. You just have to get it. So we just hope that the custom officers obey the new policy without extorting people, because this is Nigeria. This is Nigeria. It's one thing to say this is what's going to happen. It's another thing for people to obey it, to keep to it. So we've already gotten that this is a new rule, and we very hope that they abide by it. All right, next on it, young pilots, engineers lack opportunities in Nigeria. This from the NAAPE president. It says that the young pilots, the engineers, they lack opportunities in Nigeria. So the president of the Aviation Workers Union complained that many young Nigerian pilots and engineers are jobless after training, after graduation. They are jobless because they don't get opportunities to fly or to work. So airlines prefer to hire foreigners or more experienced hands, leaving those in Nigeria leaving their trainings to be a waste, their years in schools to be a waste. So it causes them to be stranded after spending millions on their training. So it doesn't make sense. Like you do not trust in the capability of your own people. You are hiring other people outside the country, giving them work while young people at home, they have nothing to do. They have nothing to do. So, and this, when these people are given any opportunity to travel outside the country, they're going to run because they see no reason to be in the country. So it's something that the Labour Congress, the employers need to look into, ensure that the people so far they are capable are employed into the aviation sector. All right, we are moving next to another newspaper, the Daily Trust newspaper. And gunmen kill 23 in Katsina, Kaduna, Plateau, Kwara, and Niger states. So gunmen kill 23 in Katsina, Kaduna, Plateau, Kwara, and Niger states. So this is another report about another wave of killing by a armed group, the bandits in the northern Nigeria. So they've attacked communities across 5 states, stealing livestock and abducting people for ransom. So these killings, it shows how insecurity is spreading beyond the northwest into other regions like the north central. So it's showing how fragile the security is in Nigeria. So if people cannot sleep in peace in their own villages, then government has to rethink its strategy. Because no matter how much revenue you are getting and people's life are being lost every day, you really need to sit down and think about ways, the strategies to put in place to ensure that people are being protected, that people feel safe wherever they are. Yes, that's what we need. All right, so next on the Daily Trust, school resumes amid biting economy. Schools resume amid biting economy. Okay, so this is the main headlines on the Daily Trust newspaper. So public and private schools across Nigeria are reopening for the new 2025/2026 academic session. But parents are crying, people are crying because of high costs. Inflation has pushed up the prices of textbooks, school fees, bus fares, and uniforms, everything needed for someone to be in school, for a child to be in school. So especially people in private schools, yes, they complain that the fees are now like a business venture. So you need to know the kind of money you have to for your child to be in a private school. Okay, so families are caught in the middle. You pay through the nose for private schools or you endure poor quality education in public schools. And of course, some of the public schools are okay, but sometimes people no longer trust the services of this public school. They believe that private schools are better, but then there's more to pay in those sectors. Okay, so this education of a thing is becoming a luxury. And if parents cannot afford to keep their children in school, Nigeria's future will suffer. Because when a child is not in school, what is the child doing out there? Learning something bad, doing something, and at the end, who does it affect? So there has to be a cut in all the school fees, prices, and all that, so that parents can afford to send their children to school. Okay, so next on it, workers to federal government, 70,000 naira minimum wage insufficient. And it's true. So Nigerian workers, we are telling the federal government that the agreed 70,000 minimum wage is not enough. Yes, we understand that you just approved it, but then they have to review it again. They have to review it, yes. Because what is it doing in this economy? Doing for the average Nigerian? What can it do for the family? So 70,000 cannot take care of the family. So labor unions, they may start agitating for further review. Which we know how Nigerian works. They will try to bring it, slash it, and bring it down to a particular amount. All right, so first, scarcity looms as tanker drivers begin strike today. fuel scarcity looms as tanker drivers begin strike today. So the tanker drivers that are responsible for transporting petrol from depot to filling stations have started a strike. So this means that even if fuel is available at depot, it will not reach the filling stations because they will not be driving. So it depends on how long the strike takes. If it takes longer time, it means that Nigerians should export queues, scarcity, and higher transport fares in the coming days. So the fuel crisis is getting bigger, like it's getting a lot bigger. And okay, that is what we have for the Daily Trust newspaper. And lastly, we'll be looking at the Guardian newspaper. On it, we see the main headline: National Grid faces 5.6 trillion naira revenue loss as premium customers exit. National Grid faces 5.6 trillion naira revenue loss as premium customers exit. And on it, we see insecurity. Northern leaders demand state of emergency, sack of service chiefs. Northern leaders demand state of emergency in the states. So one would wonder why at a point like this, they're still asking for state of emergency in this northern state, and it has not been granted. Meanwhile, the President Tinubu, 6 months ago, declared a state of emergency in Rivers State over a clash with the sitting governor and Wike, and there wasn't much insecurity there compared to what we are seeing in the north, and nothing is being done over there. So why declare a state of emergency in Rivers State and you cannot declare a state of emergency where lives are being lost daily? So these northern leaders, they are asking that the federal government declare a state of emergency in the northern states. Okay, so next on it, we see that again, parents groan as schools resume. Imo outlaws some practices. And army neutralizes 4 terrorists, arrests 64 suspects in nationwide operations. All right, so that is what we have on the Guardian newspaper this morning, and we've been able to go through the Guardian newspaper, the Daily Trust, the Punch newspaper, and also the Daily Times newspaper to see the top stories going on, and some of the things we were able to pick were the Nupeng and Dangote clash, the strike that they are ongoing, the ongoing strike of Nupeng. And also we saw the stories of the schools starting and what is causing in the lives of parents, the groanings of the economic rise, the rate of things, school fees and all that. So that's what we have for the newspaper review. And this morning we are going straight into another story that over the weekend, a lot of people talked about it on social media, like people were concerned. So that's what we are going to be looking into. Remember, you can be part of the show this morning by calling into the studio on 0706 048 5853 or 0915 570-8347. If you have any comments on the newspaper reviews and the story we are going to dive into, yes, call us and let us know what you think. All right, so we are going to be talking about the 5% extra charge on petrol. You already heard of it. That was signed into law by the President Tinubu. And for some reasons, it made a lot of uproar over the weekend. And so I'm here to explain. Let's just go into it. Let's understand what this 5% extra charge on petrol and diesel is all about. So it's simply when you buy fuel, there's an additional 5% of the price that could be added. So when you go to the filling stations to buy your fuel, just ensure that you should add extra change with you. So when you are telling them to give you 1,000 naira fuel, you have to pay extra on top of it, on top of the 1,000 naira fuel. So it's not going into effect automatically. It's not yet going into effect, but people are talking about it. Do we have to wait till it is being implemented? Do we have to wait till when it started before we start talking about it? So this surcharge is part of the Nigerian Tax Administration Act. It was signed into law on June 26, 2025. So it's one of the major tax reform bills President Tinubu approved that day. So let's clarify. This 5% charge is not new. It already exists in law from the Federal Roads Maintenance Agency Act of 2007. The thing is that it just hasn't been enforced in years. It wasn't enforced in years. Now, lawmakers have restated it in the new Tax Act to make things clear and transparent. And that's all. So what does it cover? The surcharge applies to refined fossil fuel products. That means petrol, diesel, aviation fuel, and the like. However, there are exemptions like the household kerosene, the cooking gas, the CNG, and renewable energy sources are not subject to the charge. So now officials said that the money collected from this, that the money they are going to collect from this will go directly into road maintenance and transport infrastructure. And it's meant to, they say it's meant to make travel safer, reduce road damage, and over time lower logistic and vehicle costs. So they also say that other taxes like VAT on fuel and telecom levies have been removed or suspended to ease pressure on the citizens. So now if petrol costs 900 naira per litre, adding 5% means roughly 45 naira per litre extra, 45 naira extra. So if you're buying just 1 litre of 900 naira, you are paying 45 naira extra. That's what the 5% surcharge means. It's coming from you as the citizen. Yes, it's coming from your purse. So when you go to the first station to buy fuel, just carry your change. That's what it means. By next year, because it's not yet implemented, it has not started. Reports say that it's going to start January of 2026. So, but people are raising concerns. People are raising, because with what we are currently facing as Nigerians, with what we are facing as citizens, this is not something that should be brought up. This matter should not be brought up. So they say it's for roads. They say it's for building the roads. But we look at what's going on in the country with all the tax and all that has been collected from the citizens. What are they doing with it? What have they done so far with the money, with the levies, with the dues that's been imposed on the citizens? What is the federal government doing with it? Why do you have to bring in new ones? Why is it that it looks like the federal government, they derive joy in making the citizens frustrated, in making the citizens suffer? Because it's from one tax to the other. It's from one levy to the other. You go inside your state, you are paying tax. Federal level, you are paying tax. Everywhere you find yourself, you are paying tax. You just have receipts, different receipts of different taxes paid. So now when the federal government is supposed to ease the suffering of the citizens, of the people they are leading, they are imposing more tax on us. So it's something is really not making sense at all. So there's a lot of worry. The fuel marketers say that the profits are already thin, and when this social starts, it's going to get passed to consumers. If you go to social media, you see so many complaints calling the federal government insensitive at a time like this, amid the rising prices, amid things that are going wrong. Like this, we add more inflation when we are already suffering, when we're already struggling as Nigerians. So we have oil in Nigeria. So why must fuel cost more? Why does it have to cost more? when we already have this thing in the country? Why do we have to spend a lot to get the things that we already have in the country? Why do we have to spend a lot for all this? So it's a big concern for the citizens of Nigeria. It's a very big concern. So this is exactly why Nigerians are frustrated. This is why they are frustrated with their leaders. They collect tax, they collect levies. And then you look at our roads, you look at our schools, you look at our hospitals, we hardly see any improvement. So what are they doing with all this everyday taxing and all that? So the government really needs to show us results. They need to show us results before demanding more from the citizens. Yes, you can call us on 0706 048 5853 or 0915 570 8347. And you can also join us live on YouTube on High Voltage News. Remember to subscribe, like, comment, share the video so others will be part of it. So we want to know what you think of this whole thing. Like, what exactly is going on? Why is the government putting this 5% charge on us? Because for individuals that are just at home, you might just decide to buy 3 liters of fuel. Come next year, you might just decide to buy 3 liters, and you're adding extra money on top of it. And then for people that run big organizations, big companies that doesn't make use of solar, that depends on all this fuel and petrol. Because you might think that for a liter that is, you have to pay 45 naira, 5% of it. If the fuel is 900, you pay 45 naira. For a liter, it looks small that you are paying 45 naira. What if you are buying more? What happens when you are buying more of this? More of the liters? You keep calculating the 5% of. You buy a fuel of 100,000 naira. You calculate the 5% on top of it and pay. You pay at that point where you're buying it. So this is what people are arguing about. We don't need something like this at a time like this. We do not need it. With the things that are going on, why is the government looking at different policies, different ways to collect money from the citizens? Why are they looking for that instead of giving back to the society? We want to see what they have done so far with the money that they've collected from us. What are they doing with the money? Because in a same community, in the same country, we see what you are doing. We'll be happy to give more. But then we hardly see the works of the federal government on our lives, on our individual lives. We hardly see the effects, the positive effects. So why do you want this to impose this amount of money on us? Because when you are working and we are seeing it, we might hardly complain about all those fees that is being imposed on us. Well, it's been imposed and yet we are not seeing anything. Meanwhile, why this such story unfolds, there's a heated battle in our oil sector. The NUPENG, that's the Union for Petroleum Workers, they are clashing with the Dangote refinery over drivers' union rights. So they are fighting over whether the new fuel delivery drivers can belong to unions. And the conflict is stirring strikes, national tension, and a threat to fuel supply. So let's look into this clash between the NUPENG and the Dangote refinery. So we see that the Dangote refinery has brought in thousands of new special trucks that run on gas. That's the CNG trucks. So the idea is to move fuel directly from the refinery to filling stations, cutting off the middlemen and saving costs. On paper, it sounds good. Yes, faster supply, maybe even cheaper fuel. But the company also wants the drivers of those trucks to operate under a new association that is not tied to any of the old unions. So now the unions, the NUPENG, they are angry. They say Dangote is trying to stop workers from joining their union. And in Nigeria, the law is clear. Let's look at it. Every worker has the right to join or form a union. So the union believes that Dangote's plan is anti-labor and is dangerous. So they accuse the company of monopoly and of trying to silence workers. Because of that, NUPENG has ordered petroleum tanker drivers to stop loading fuel nationwide. So the strike started today. So even though the federal government are trying to resolve the issue, they are meeting with the NUPENG and the Dangote refinery, yet the strike is still, they still stand their ground that are going to be on strike until Dangote reverses the policy. So although not all drivers agree with NUPENG, so some drivers have said that they will keep working and ignore the strike notice, or others claim the new association Dangote support is fake. So we are looking at it. Let's see how today goes. Let's see if this strike is a strong one or if it's just a threat, an empty threat. Let's see how it's going, because if this is going to prolong, if it prolongs, it's going to affect the citizens. It's going to affect us. We're going to have to queue to get fuel, because filling stations are going to have to store their fuel until pending when the strike is called off. So the federal government knows how dangerous this fuel strike can be, and that's why they've called the Minister of Labor quickly called both sides for talks. So it's something they need to resolve immediately. It shouldn't linger, it shouldn't prolong at all. It should not. So government officials are begging the union to suspend action so dialogue can take place, because it's going to result to higher prices of fuel when you're trying to store the one you already have. So it's something they really need to look into it. So the Nigerian Labour Congress, the big umbrella body of all unions, they have declared support for the NUPENG strike. They are supporting the NUPENG. If all you have to do is to go on strike, good, so be it. So far that Dangote reverses his policy. And because what we do not understand is that when two strong people fight, the ground suffers. So when these two are fighting, the individual, the citizens, we, the ordinary Nigerians, are the ones suffering. Because when you decide that you stop transporting fuel to filling stations, we that needs the fuel, because Nigeria is not a country that has 24/7 electricity. So most times we depend on all this fuel, we depend on the petrol, we depend on it. And then there's a strike ongoing. You've stopped the tanker drivers from driving, from carrying petrol to the filling stations. So what is it going to do? What are we going to do about it? What are we? Because even the NLC, they've warned that if Dangote does not back down, they may join the strike too. So that would even make the matter even bigger, very big. And also, we should not forget the law. Like the Nigerian constitution says that citizens are free to join unions, just like I said before. So legally, NUPENG has strong ground. But Dangote also has the argument that he wants efficiency and order in distribution. So the clash here is between rights and business control. What do you think about the whole thing? Because the effect it's going to have on the citizen, the impact it's going to have on the citizens is going to be a big one. Yes, it should be a big one. Because when we come down to the ordinary people, if tankers stop loading fuel, we will feel it quickly. Like quickly, we are going to feel it as citizens. So the petrol stations will run dry. You have to queue, waiting for a ton, which might not get to a ton. So the market woman will pay more to bring food from the farm. A small clinic may struggle to power its generator. Small organizations will struggle to power and have steady lights because of this. So we just hope that after today, the strike will be called off today and not to prolong for any. We just hope that they reach an agreement, a particular agreement, and resolve the whole issue. So all this transport fare increment and all that, the petroleum sector, they really need to look into what's happening in the petroleum sector, because Nigerians depend on them. Nigerians depend on them in everything that we are, almost everything we are doing. Nigerians depend on the petroleum sector, because we cannot trust the electricity we cannot trust it in Nigeria. You cannot trust it to give us 24/7 electricity supply. So the ones that we depend on, they are going on strike. What are we going to do about it? Yes, let us know what you think on 0706 048 5853 or 0915 570 8347. The phone lines are open now, so you can call and tell us what you think about the whole issue, from the newspaper headlines to this 5% surcharge to the strike action of the Nupeng and the Dangote refineries. So we see that if this strike drags for many days, the country may lose billions. Yes, the country will lose billions. Factories will slow down. Transport companies will park their vehicles one place. Traders will complain of high costs. Because anything that involves fuel, anything that involves petrol affects every other area. Because you have to transport your goods. You have to transport the bag of rice that you bought from where you bought it to your place, to your shop. And of course, you're going to calculate all the money spent, all the expenses spent. Someone running a business, you have to calculate the amount of fuel that you buy and add it to the cost of your production. So everything about fuel affects the decisions of the government. It affects the citizens. Whatever it is that the governments are doing, but both negatively and positively, it's affecting the citizens, it's affecting the lives of the ordinary Nigerian. So now I want you to picture a mother who sells just akara by the roadside. She depends on this kerosene or small generator to fry. And then when all these things jumps, our profit, where is our profit? It vanishes. So we don't really see all these things. So a bus driver who has to double fares, who has to pay for double fares and all that. And we see that passengers, sometimes they quarrel with them. But then they're also struggling. We are all in Nigeria. We see what is happening. We see the tax being imposed on us. We see the things that the governments are doing. And we have the right to question the government. If it's not affecting us positively, we need to question the government. Why are you doing things like, why are you going in this direction when you can do better? So why are you trying to why are you asking me to pay 5% after paying for the actual amount of the fuel price? I still have to pay more money. So it's really something that we need to look into, because when you also look at the hospitals and every other area now, the aviation sector, because when fuel increases, when this petrol increases, they're going to increase the flight tickets as well, the flight prices. Because if you think that you can afford, that you are not part of those affected you don't enter the buses, what about the flights? So it affects every sector. It affects everyone. Nobody is left out. So we wonder why these leaders, some of the top officials, why they keep quiet when they should be talking about things like this. Who are the advisors? Who advises the president? Are they not human beings? Are they not part of us in Nigeria? Are they not feeling the struggles of the citizens? Are they not feeling what we are feeling? Like, are they in a different world? We really need to know, because when they keep talking of tax, we are wondering, in this same Nigeria we are, what is going on? When are they going to look at the citizens and feel pity? Because we need leaders that are empathetic. We need them, people like that, who can feel the pains of the ordinary Nigerian citizen, and not just be in the top position and just be doing anything they want without regarding the least 1% of the people they are leading. So you decide to go on strike without thinking of the effect it has on the citizen. You decide to put a tax without thinking, you think it's just the 200 naira, you think it's just 1,000 naira. Meanwhile, the different taxes we are paying, when you sum it up, you see the amount of money it is. So when a giant company like Dangote clashes with a strong union like NUPENG, government cannot sit idle. They cannot sit idle at all. They need to do something, and do it quickly. They need to do something very fast. So the accusations of monopoly, accusations of oppression, that Dangote is oppressing them. Although some politicians may use the crisis to score points, while ordinary people are the ones suffering at the end. So where does this lead? Where exactly does it lead? There are just few possible endings. One, either both sides agree at the government meeting, Dangote allows union membership, fuel starts flowing again, and life returns to normal, or the talks fail and the strike continues, scarcity worsens, and the price hits the roof. So it's just these two. Or the court gets involved and gives a ruling on workers' rights. But that may take time. So they need to reach a compromise. They need to reach a compromise. I agree on the best things to do, so it doesn't bring the citizens down. It doesn't put more weight on the citizens. So we as citizens, what are we supposed to do in a period like this? Just ensure that you buy the necessary one that you have. You buy the fuel, the one that is necessary for you, that you need. So don't go and avoid panic buying. Don't just go and rush because you feel that you sense that they're going to increase the prices, and so you rush and buy. So avoid the panic buyings and ensure that you have small for emergencies. So we need to look out for ourselves as citizens as well. We need to look out for ourselves. So if the government is not helping, we need to be the ones to help ourselves and also. So the fight is not just about Dangote, it's not just about the NUPENG, it's about the balance between the business sector, the business power, the workers' rights. So it's about the ordinary Nigerian who suffers whenever there's first scarcity. So as the story unfolds, we are going to look closely and speak out for fairness. So we are going to see how it happens, how the meeting ends today, and see if the strike continues or not, and see the effect it has on our lives as citizens of Nigeria. So we've been able to look at the surcharge of the 5%, and we've been able to look at the strike that's ongoing, and we've seen what it's doing in our lives and how it's going to continue affecting us negatively if it persists. But then in as much as we expect a lot of things to go right, and it's not going right, we still need to keep hoping for that the country, that the leaders will have us in their own minds and do things that benefits the citizens of Nigeria, that benefits us as ordinary Nigerian citizens. And this is where we wrap it up for today on High Voltage. It's been an amazing time with you. It's been an amazing, and the conversation continues tomorrow. We continue tomorrow. We continue looking into these stories. We continue looking into the matters that affects us as citizens of Nigeria. And thank you for joining us. Join us again tomorrow by 9 a.m. We'll be back here tomorrow by 9 a.m. to unfold more stories to you. And we hope that you have a wonderful week ahead. My name is Adili, and this is High Voltage on Volt 104.3 FM.